Up until X and Y, Pokémon games would release in Japan months before the rest of the world. But what are you supposed to do before then? Just be content knowing that there's thousands of people playing a game that you want that isn't in your language yet? And that is where unofficial translations come in. People who are not from Nintendo or Game Freak taking the original game and translating it into other languages for more people to play. There are many unofficial Pokémon translations, and I picked out 3 to go over. I'll be looking at them in order of quality. So as the video goes further, the more and more broken the English gets. To start, we got the Pokémon Black and White Translation Project. On September 21st, 2010, users on the Project Pokémon website began a translation project for Black and White. This was only 3 days after the game's initial release, and the project concluded around the middle of October, which I think is absolutely insane to think about. On their own time, people hacked and translated an entire game within a month of its release. And honestly, they did a phenomenal job with the translation. Now, I only played all of these games up to the first gym badge, and while I did notice some grammar issues and spelling mistakes in the other 2, for this one, it was pretty much perfect. Now, because this was before the official English version, we didn't know all of the official names for the new Pokémon, so they just used their Japanese names written in English, along with some of the NPCs as well. For example, Professor Juniper is known as Professor Araragi in this version, and the new items use their Japanese name as well, like the X-Transceiver being called the Livecaster. This game is pretty much just the original Black and White, but with the script a little bit tweaked. You could hand this to someone who hasn't played Black and White, and they might believe it's the official release. Now, there is one NPC that does bring up fan translations that might throw them a little bit off, but honestly, I think it's a really funny addition. Now, all of the TVs are not fully translated, but one minor hiccup in this otherwise fantastic translation is pretty impressive. So if you know Black and White like the back of your hand and want something just a little bit different, you could try using this for your next playthrough. Now, our next 2 games are a little bit different from this one. The fan translation we just talked about was released online for free, but the next 2 were sold on actual cartridge for money, making them bootlegs. And this is Pokémon World Pokémon Gold, released in 2000, just a few months before the official English version, which I also think is crazy. 2000? They could make Game Boy hacks back then? Like, who made this game? Oh, Pikachu did. Something I really like is this custom screen when you first start the game. It replaces the copyright screen, and it's why this ROM is referred to as Pokémon World. When you start the game and get to naming your character, you can see that it has the names Ryu and Ken. This is a reference to Street Fighter, where 2 characters have these same names, which I think is a little weird because the original Japanese game did not have this, so the translators must have been big fans of Street Fighter, I guess. Getting into the actual game, there are a few misspellings and grammatical anomalies. For example, sometimes the game spells out the word you, like Y-O-U, and other times it just uses the letter U. There's also strange placements of words that aren't technically incorrect, but could be worded better. Take this line. So keep in mind that... No, I guess that's not technically wrong, but so keep that in mind would have been a better way of wording it. Again, just like the Black and White fan translation, this came out before we knew the official names of the new Pokémon. So the Johto Pokémon, along with some of the new items, use names that are different from the official version. Like the apricorns, which are called nuts in this translation, and you can put nut on items. Gross. Now the Kanto Pokémon do use their official English names, but because there isn't enough space in the character limit, the names are cut off, so you fight enemies like Catter and Spear. One thing I want to mention is that the trainers in Faulkner's gym, or in this case Hayato's gym, get really mad when you beat them. Even the gym leader himself. Like, this threw me for a loop when I first saw it. So I guess in conclusion, this could maybe work if you absolutely needed to play the new Pokemon game before it officially came out, but I feel like I would just wait for the real translation. Today, you would only play this ROM if you just wanted to laugh at it, but I still think it's pretty cool for a ROM released in 2000. And for our last game, we have Pokémon Leaf Green Pirate, released in 2004. And I'll be completely honest, this translation sucks. Sentences often end abruptly, along with being formatted awkwardly. We see the return of Catter. My Bulbasaur must be French because he learned Les Seed. You use PK Ball to catch Pokemon, along with a lot of other things that make this game a total mess. My top 3 highlights were gaslighting this kid into thinking there's only 2 bug Pokemon, this Spearow who thinks he's Professor Oak, and this Jigglypuff that calls you fat. Now, I would love to show you if they fully translated the Johto and Hoenn names, but whenever I try to save, I get this error. I tried this on multiple emulators with different settings, nothing worked, so I couldn't hack in my completed Pokédex. Sorry. If you know how to fix this, please let me know. But that's about it for this game. And that's it for the unofficial translations I wanted to show off. Now, there will always be unofficial translations for other games, but I feel like unofficial translations for mainline Pokemon games are a lost art that's unlikely to ever return. I guess it's convenient that we do get games day one with Japan, but it takes away the mystery and fun of getting these unofficial translations. And I just wanted to get more eyes on these projects, because I think they're really cool, and I haven't seen many people talk about them. And these games, especially black and white fan translation, should be appreciated more. So hopefully this video helped accomplish that.